Today's video is being sponsored by Instant Gaming. Play smart, pay less. Thank you so much to Instant Gaming for sponsoring today's video. With being a console gamer my entire life, I've only recently moved over to PC gaming, and Instant Gaming has been a lifesaver in allowing me to purchase games I've always wanted to play at a reasonable price. Instant Gaming offers discounts on all the most current titles and has massive discounts on our favourite Frontier games, including Planet Coaster, Planet Zoo and Jurassic World Evolution. Make sure to click the link above or below in the description to get some amazing games at affordable prices. Again, thank you to Instant Gaming for sponsoring this video, but without further ado, let's hop into the video, shall we? Hello, it's Matty coming at you with another Planet Zoo Console Edition video. Welcome back to Eden Gardens Zoological Park. In the last episode, we finished off this lemur enclosure, and today we are going to make a start on that central lake because it's been such an eyesore for so long. But before we get into today's build, I need to do some YouTube things that I am terrible at. I haven't done it since about episode 5, so make sure to leave a like on the video if you are enjoying this series, leave a subscribe if you are new. What else am I supposed to do? I'm supposed to be professional here. Smash that like button, leave a subscribe, become a member if you want early access, yada yada yada. I always forget to do that, so I better throw one in every now and then. But I am really excited to make a start on this because I think the central part of the zoo has been lacking for so long. So without further ado, let's hop in and make a start, shall we? Right, so here we are in the zoo. And as you can see, it's such an eyesore, the central lake. We are going to fix that today. So first off, we are going to get the terrain tool, we're going to delete that water, and we're going to straighten all this out coming down here to make putting the boat in a lot easier. And then we're going to use the terrain feature once again, and we're going to create a central island for the hippos and the cranes to be able to get up to. We're going to put the food and some of the enrichment items on there. So we're going to have to think about how we're going to be able to get the keeper to access the central island, but we'll deal with that later on. Now, using the roughen feature, we'll just go around the central island, giving it a little bit of character. We'll put the water back in, and then we'll add the boat and the train before we start walling out. Walling out? That's not the right terminology, Matty. We'll start putting a wall around this water, okay? I knew what I meant. I'm sure you knew what I meant as well. So we'll pop that train down, and then we'll use some limestone wall pieces, I think, and go around this entire lake. Now we've been around the entire lake putting this wall in, now we need to start filling in some of these gaps that we've left behind. I tried using the floor piece, but it was too big and it just didn't work, so I'm going to come back to this in a moment once I've had a think about how I can fill in them gaps. But we need to sort out some of this Z fighting. If you've got Z fighting where it looks like it's glitching, just go around, remove the piece off the grid and then lift it up and down a little bit and it will stop that Z fighting. What we're going to use to fill in these gaps is this small 1 meter panel, and then we can go round there because it's a not grid item, and we can go around the entire thing just filling in all of these gaps. With all of the wall now done, now it's time to put a custom fence down. So going back to my tried and tested technique, we're going to use some wooden beams and some meshing. By placing the first one down and then turning the move snap on and putting that to 4 meters, we can get that lined up perfectly. We're going to use another wooden log as the bottom and the top of the fence, and then using the mesh fence, we'll put that right in the middle there, and we'll go around the entire lake, filling all of this out. Now we can start working on the train line itself. So I'm going to move the station parallel to that wall, and we can start bringing the train line around the lake. We need to think about how the guests are going to be able to access that boat ride and the queue for that. So we're going to bring it away from the wall a little bit so we can build a bridge going over the top where the guests can queue for that boat ride. As we come around here, I've now encountered a new problem. The hippo enclosure is going to have to go next to the prairie dog enclosure, and we're going to have to think about how the keeper will be able to access that. So we're going to drop the train below the ground and then bring it back up so the enclosure will go over the top of this. This is going to create a lot of problems with the terrain as we drop this down and then try and level it back out again. I'm going to have the train coming through a tunnel underneath the ground. So using some of these wall pieces, we're going to create this tunnel coming all the way through. We're going to put the rock terrain paint going all the way through the entire tunnel just to try and blend it in a little bit better. And the tunnel doesn't actually line up quite straight, so we're going to have to delete what we've done, straighten that up, and then come down afterwards. And with that done, now we can do the terrain through the tunnel. Unfortunately, it did create this big elevated mound above the ground, which was very, very unfortunate, but we'll have to work around it, I'm afraid. But let's have a look at this train and let's see it come through the tunnel, and let's see if it lines up, shall we? So here it comes, just dropping down below the ground now. That terrain is unfortunate. I'm not a big fan of that, so I'm going to have to think of a way to cover that up. But the train fits through here perfectly. The walling doesn't all line up. You can see a couple of little gaps here, there and everywhere. But this is going to be a case of don't let the enemy of perfect be good. It's just going to have to be the way it is. Not many people are going to come down here anyway. And when you're on the train itself, it doesn't really matter too much. We've got a little bit of an effort to get the train back up into the station. Let's make sure that it can do that okay. Come on, it's like Thomas the Tank Engine. Choo choo, you can do it, Thomas. Come on, you can do it. It's fine. There you go. Yeah, I like that. I don't like that terrain. I think I'll cover that with rocks. Oh, I like that sound that it makes as the train comes into the station. I do like that. Yeah. Right. So, next job, we are going to put the hippos into this enclosure because I'm not sure if that fence is going to be enough to see if they can escape or not. So, let's have a look at your traversable area. That was the wrong button, Matty. Right, let's have a look. So, they can use the ramp going down into the water and you can't escape anywhere. That is fantastic. They can use the ramp. They can go underneath the boat ride. Unfortunately, you can't access the island from this side. You can only access it from that one little tiny area there. So we do need to look at fixing that. I want them to be able to access this island from this side. So we're going to have to delete the water a second. Let's just double check that we can put the water back in afterwards before we do any terrain forming. Yes, we can. And let's just try and smooth that out a little bit. So we'll increase the intensity to 100%. And I think we'll also increase the size up as well. And then we'll smooth this out and let's see if we can get the hippos up there, shall we? Right, take two. Let's see if you can now access that. I clicked on the hippo and then came back out. Whoops, my bad. Right, let's try that again, shall we? So let's have a look. Oh, fantastic. You can now access the island from that point. That is brilliant. Okay, that's really good to know. And we've got the second hippo in now. Let's have a look at your land. Wow, 7,000 square meters of land and 20,000 square meters of water. That is way bigger than what they need, but I'm just going to go with it. I am happy with that. That is fine. We need to think about how the staff can access that central island. But before we do that, I think we're going to start decorating this train. So we're going to go around the entire train line, doing the soil coming all the way down. And then I think I'm going to use some of these rocks. That is a blueprint that I made, and we're going to drop them below the train line, going all the way around. Let's just all pretend for a moment that I didn't put 20,000 of these going around and take up 7% of the counter going around the entire train line, but the effect that it gives I think is worth it. I'm happy with 7% for the effect that it gives there. We've started putting some of the trees around just to see what it would look like as a final result, and yeah, the rocks coming through the train line I think gives it such a realistic effect. And whilst it is a huge and absolutely ridiculous piece count, I'm just going to go with it. And if it turns out when we start coming towards the end of the zoo that I am starting to struggle with percentage, then that can be our emergency backup plan and we can always delete some of them. Unfortunately, when I got the hippos, I didn't put them into the quarantine zone. I just don't do it. I always forget, and I put 2 sick hippos into the park. So both of them have been taken away to go and get fixed. To get fixed, it makes it sound like a broken machine. To get healthy, to get repaired, whatever. They've got to be made better, okay? They've got... Oh dear, oh dear. Anyway, right, we need to carry on putting some more foliage down and getting all of this done, don't we? So let's make a start on that, shall we? The money this episode has become a huge problem. We started the episode with 140,000. We're down to 3,000. So whilst we are low on cash, I thought I would finish off the bridge so the staff can get over to the central island, and we'll buy some of the cheaper items, some of the enrichment items and the food for the hippos on that central island. So we'll pop that down there. And whilst we're also waiting for the money to go back up, I think I might recolour this train. I don't want the default colour for this train, so I think I might go for a dark green. I quite like that, especially with the amount of foliage that is going to be around this ride. I think it will really blend in. And what colour shall we do the seats? I like the idea of going blue, but I think that's a little bit too... bright. There you go, a little bit of a darker navy blue. I quite like that. And what would it look like? Oh no, that looks awful. No, change that back. We'll stick with black. That looked absolutely terrible. Yeah, I'm quite happy with that. I think that will blend into the surrounding area quite nicely. I'm going to slow it down a little bit. We'll put that to 8 miles an hour rather than 10 miles an hour. And now it's just a question of speeding up time so I can save up some money again. Thankfully, this zoo does bring in a huge profit, so it doesn't take too long to save up money. But I think we've made a good start on this so far. We're not doing too bad at all. So after skipping a couple of years, we've managed to save up some more money, and now we can carry on putting all of this foliage around the entire train ride. In case I haven't said once, twice, or probably about 10 times in this series so far, I love placing foliage. It's probably my favourite thing to do in the game. I just love seeing something come to life with all that vibrancy and colour of the foliage. And with this build, I didn't go too nuts with loads of different things. I chose a couple of different trees, a couple of different types of bushes, and then just used the same ones going around the entire train ride. As what is now common practice with me, I've spent an obscene amount of time once again placing foliage, and I was in my element. I was so happy, I loved it. But we're just going to put some rocks going around the enclosure, and I think we'll make a start on covering this up with rocks. I'll do the one side for now, and I'll see how it looks afterwards. But I think we do need to cover up that terrain somehow, and I'll just go back to rocks. That's my normal default. I think if we cover all of that with rocks, we can put some foliage in there, and I think that will sort the problem. But let's go for a train ride, shall we? it's really beginning to take shape now. I did really want to get this entire thing done in one episode, but I didn't realise just how big a job this was going to be. I've got a little tiny space over there. I think we may put some tortoises in there. I think that would be a really good spot to put some little tortoises in that little spot there. And we also need to get some research done. Jonathan! Jonathan! You need to start researching the lemurs. I completely forgot about that. So, Jonathan, start researching them. And Hung, you are currently doing advanced research on the wolves. Get on the elephants instead. I think I'd rather have the advanced research on them. All of the research for the mechanics is done. That is absolutely fantastic. And the percentage is on 51%, which, given the fact we're on around 75,000 pieces so far in this park, I don't think that's too bad. 51% for 75,000. Not too bad at all. I'm not going to argue with that, but I think I will get a lot of this done now off camera, and then in the next episode we can think about adding some tortoises, and then we can make a start on the chimp enclosure. So until then, take care, stay safe, look after yourselves, and I will see you all very, very soon. Bye everybody!